Hello students, I am Saloni, Assistant Professor of AIT, Computer Science and Engineering Department. So today I am here to deliver my lecture on one of the most disruptive technology, that is information security, on behalf of Chandigarh University. So the main objective is to introduce you guys about information security, brief about security triad, different security threats, and provide you knowledge about a very famous tool which is being used for the scanning purpose, that is Nmap. Now moving forward, what is information security? So what do you all understand by this particular term? Now see, information is a kind of data which is in processed form and in meaningful format, and being secure is a stage that is free from danger. Information security is basically the practice of preventing unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, inspection, recording, or destruction of information. Information can be physical or electronic one. So, information can be anything like your details, or we can say your profile on social media, your data in your mobile phone, your biometrics, etc. Thus, information security spans so many research areas like cryptography, mobile computing, cyber forensics, online social media, and many more. Now, coming to the next part, we have a security triad. That means there are three goals of information security around which whole of the information security revolves. Information security programs are built around three objectives, commonly known as CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now see, what is confidentiality? That means information is not disclosed to unauthorized individuals, entities, and process. For example, if we say, I have a password for my Gmail account, but someone saw while I was doing a login into Gmail account. So in that case, my password has been compromised and confidentiality has been breached. Integrity means maintaining accuracy and completeness of data. Now this means data cannot be edited in any unauthorized way. For example, if an employee leaves an organization, then in that case, for that employee in all departments, the accounts should be updated to reflect status job left. So that data is complete and accurate. In addition to this only, authorized person should be allowed to edit employee data. There should not be any kind of alteration to be done by someone who is not authorized, right? So the data addition cannot be done in any kind of unauthorized way. So that is the part where we say that integrity is achieved. The next is availability, which means information must be available when needed. For example, if one needs to access information of a particular employee to check whether employee has outstanding the number of leaves, so in that case, it requires collaboration from different organizational teams like network operations, development operations, incident response, and policy change management. Denial of service attack is one of the factors that can hamper the availability of information. Apart from this, there is one more principle that governs information security programs. This is non-repudiation. Non-repudiation means one party cannot deny receiving a message or a transaction, nor can the other party deny sending a message or a transaction. For example, in cryptography, it is sufficient to show that message matches the digital signature signed with sender's private key, and that sender could have sent a message and nobody else could have altered it in transit. So data integrity and authenticity, these are prerequisite for non-repudiation. Authenticity means verifying that users are who they say they are, and that each input arriving at destination is from a trusted source. This principle, if followed, guarantees the valid and genuine message received from a trusted source through a valid transmission. For example, if we take above example, like sender sends the message along with the digital signature which was generated using hash value of message and private key. Now, at the receiver side, this digital signature is decrypted Using the public key generated a hash value, and then message is again hashed to generate the hash value. If the two value matches, then it is known as valid transmission with the authentic or we can say a genuine message received at the recipient side. So, authentication is a process which defines who are you. There is another term named authorization, which defines what permissions do you have. Yes, we all have understood the term like authentication and authorization in simple terms. Now let's have a look. I can state that in authentication process, it is the identity of the users, which is checked for providing the access to the systems, right? So before providing any access to the systems, the users are being checked and then only authentication is being done. Further, authorization, while in the authorization process, person or the user authorities are checked for assessing the resources. Now see, in an organization, we have many users or employees which are working in a particular organization, right? So, but not every employee or every people has access to every system available over there in the same manner. So, every person has a different access to the system on the basis of the authorities, right? So, a student may be having a different access in the college system, a teacher is having different access, then we coming up to the upper level, HOD is having a different access. So, this is how it works. There are different accesses given to the different person on the basis of their position. So, in similar manner, authorization is being verified like whether the user who has logged in to the system, so it is checked if authentication has been done, then what access this particular person is having, right? So we can say that in the authentication process, users or persons, these are being verified, while in authorization, the process users or persons, these are being validated. So what do you guys think? Authorization is done before authentication or authentication is done before authorization? So it's pretty clear that we do authentication first and then only authorization will be done. Now let's have a detailed view of confidentiality. Now here in the picture we can see that Alice had sent a mail to Bob, and before Bob could see the mail, Eve has already checked the mail. Now here secrecy has been breached, the security has been breached over here. So similarly we can say that confidentiality is also breached. So in confidentiality, we say that you are preserving data private from any kind of unwanted or illegal user. But here in the picture, we all can see that before Bob could see the mail which Alice has delivered to his address, Eve has already checked the mail, right? So one of the example of this confidentiality is social engineering attack. In social engineering attack, we have a very famous attack named phishing. You all must have received fraudulent mails saying that you have won this much amount. If any kind of check is available in the mail, just click on the link and the money will be transferred to your account. And many more other fraudulent mails are there floating over the Gmail account, right? So whenever a person clicks on that link, what actually happens, there is a kind of virus which is being attached in that particular link, and when you will take on that link, the virus will do its work and your data will be revealed. So this is how this phishing works. Like there is just one scenario I just want you guys to imagine, like you have a friend and you both are talking to each other, and one of your friends said that, hey, I have got a pen drive for you, and in this pen drive I have got a game for you. This is a new game, let's try it, you would love it. Then further, you being unintentionally like plug in the pen drive without even scanning that pen drive or anything like that, and if there is any kind of virus in that pen drive, that will do its work, and ding ding go, it will breach the confidentiality over here. Further, it can be achieved by following means. There are different measures which you can achieve the confidentiality if you want to achieve the goal of information security. So, it can physically seclude the sensitive data from the reach of network users. We can use some logical barriers like access control list or firewalls to protect it from any kind of invalid access. In access control list, so the list, as we just have studied and discussed about the authorization part, so an access control list can be maintained whether the users can be divided on the basis of access they have to the system or the organization, right? So this is basically distribution of the users on the basis of the access which should be given to them. The credential based authentication process to get through the gateway of network, then also confidentiality can be achieved if a user have to authenticate himself or herself for the very first time, and then they will have to get through the gateway of the network traffic. Then encryption, so that it, even in attacker infiltrates the data, it cannot be deciphered. Then whatever the information is being transferred over the network, that should be in an encrypted format so that the confidentiality couldn't be breached and we can maintain the confidentiality of the information security. Then we have the next part where which is integrity. Data integrity, as we have discussed, it refers to the preservation of the content and source of the data. A data should be in complete, accurate manner. It should not be altered by any unauthorized person. Only an authorized person should have access to it. So it consists of checking whether the data has been transmitted from an authentic source or not, and it has not been tampered within the transition. Now see, in this particular image, it is pretty clear that Alice has sent a mail to Bob, whereas in the middle, the Eve has already added or altered something in the mail. So whatever the message Alice sent to Bob, now that won't be the same message to the Bob which he would be receiving, because Eve has already made some changes in it. So in order to prevent this kind to happen in real life scenario, in order to achieve data integrity, parity checking for detecting data modification can be done. Public key cryptography, digital signature for validating the authenticity of the origin of data can be done. So now see, we all sign documents. This is a physical activity which we do, so that is considered as a proof that particular person has signed his document. So this means that it has been verified, right? So in similar manner, we have different signatures, like when connecting to people, we can digitally sign that document. So this will help us to prevent the integrity of the data. So in this, public key cryptography can be used, digital signatures can be used in order to validate the authenticity of the origin of data. Like in physical signature, which is done in a physical manner, digital signature is done digitally. Public key cryptography, that is a technique where we can encrypt and decrypt the data. Now see, encryption is something where we convert the data, the plain text, into ciphertext, which is non-readable format, right, from the sender side. And when the receiver will be getting the particular message at its end, so the ciphertext will be converted back to the plain text, right? So there is one example of this integrity attack, that is hijacking legitimate TCP sessions. Now the thing is, TCP IP is a network model, that is transmission control protocol, internet protocol model, which is being used for the conversation part of over the internet. Now TCP IP model, we have 4 layers. The first layer is network layer. Then we have internet layer, then data is being transmitted through internet layer, then we have transport layer, and at last we have application layer. So hijacking legitimate TCP sessions means there can be 2 ways of hijacking sessions. Hijacking could be there. We all understand the term hijacking, right? So when someone gets the access to someone else's property or particular location and can control that particular location. So in similar manner, we are talking about session hijacking, which is something which can be done in 2 ways, whether it can be performed at application layer hijacking could be there, or transport layer hijacking. Now each type includes numerous attack types that enable a hacker to hijack a user session. when we are connecting, we are transmitting data online. So the user session can be hijacked in such a way that it is a kind of cyber attack in which what is happening, the unauthorized user gains access to the legitimate connection of another client in the network. So having hijacked this TCP/IP session, the attacker can either read, modify the transmitted data packets as well as send their own request to the addressee. So the other person wouldn't be able to know whether the particular person is receiving message from the legitimate user or the hijacker in between. So this is this hijack attack where we can say integrity is breached. Then we have this availability. Availability is the third goal of information security, which is quite important in the similar manner as confidentiality and integrity. So this is something which should refer to the duration which user data can be made available on the network. So the authorized person should have access to the information all the time. So whenever the information is required, the authorized person should have that available. So it is nearly synonymous with system uptime, we can say. So there is one common attack which is being done on this availability part. There is one denial of service attack. Now see what is there in denial of service attack. This is something when we'll get more clarity about this particular attack by separating the words and thinking of the meaning of these particular words which are there in attack. Now denial of service, that means the service is being denied, right? It is not making it available to the authorized person when requested. So that is a kind of attack where we can say that availability is breached. Now see, Alice has sent a mail to Bob and Eve has already taken out the mail from the mailbox. So that is the kind of interruption which has happened and Bob has not received any mail. So that means the authorized person, Bob, is not getting a mail because Eve has already taken out from the letterbox or the mailbox. So this is the denial of service attack, we can popularly known as DOS, where the service is being denied to the authorized person and availability has been breached. So proper data filtering to minimize the processing of junk data should be there. So proper data filtering to minimize the processing of junk data should be there. So now apart from this, there is one more principle that governs information security program, that is non-repudiation. That is something which means that one party cannot deny receiving a message or transaction, nor the other party can deny sending a message or the transaction. So it is clear, both the parties cannot deny that they have not sent the message or the transaction or they have not received the message or transaction. So for example, for better clarity, we can go with the example. In cryptography, it is sufficient to show the message matches the digital signature, sign the sender's with the sender's private key, and the sender could have sent the message. Nobody else could have altered it in between or in the transmission process. So data integrity and authenticity, these are prerequisite for non-repudiation. So at the core of information security is information assurance, which means the act of maintaining CIA of information, ensuring that information is not compromised in any way when critical issues arises. These issues are not limited to natural disasters, any kind of computer server malfunctions, etc. So the field of information security has grown and evolved significantly in recent years. It offers many areas of specialization that include securing network, allied infrastructure, securing the applications and databases, security testing, information system auditing, business coordinated planning, and many more. Now, let's have a look at the security threats which are there. So basically, what do you all understand by the term threat? Threat to the information security. Information security threat can be many, like any kind of software attack, theft to intellectual property, identity theft, theft of equipment or information, sabotage and information extortion. So threat can be anything that can take advantage of vulnerability to breach security. and negatively alter or raise some harm objects or objects of interest. Now, I have used the term vulnerability. That means there is any kind of loophole or weakness present in the system. So, from the hacker or cracker may get access to the system. So, that is a kind of threat. If it has any weakness present in the system, so that is a kind of threat in the system, right? So, threat can be either intentional, that is hacking an individual or cracker or criminal organization. So, it can be accidental as well. There could be possibility of a computer malfunctioning or possibility of natural disaster such as an earthquake, fire, tornado or any otherwise circumstance, some capability or some action or event. So, these are just possibilities of a threat. Now, see, we have a classification of threats and in such a manner that it can be of two types, whether internal threats or external threats. Now, the internal threats could be the kind of threats which is more serious than external ones, because insiders already possess the legitimate access to some portions of the network. They have knowledge about the network, secure structure, security mechanism and weaknesses which is built into the system. It is basically being initiated from the part of the system who actually are inside it. Clear? And then we have external threats. External attackers, they do not have any proper knowledge about the network beforehand. So before attack, what do? They just try to gather some more information about the network by monitoring traffic and so on, and they just fetch out the information just by observing them from outside, and these are kind of external threats which do not have any kind of proper knowledge about the network beforehand, but they will do it by gathering information about the network. Now, these are major threats to the e-commerce industry as stated, like there could be phishing attacks, some credit card frauds could be there, some cross-site scripting, some bad bots aiming at the e-commerce industry, some distributed denial of service attack could be there, that is DDoS, then SQL injections, or we can say SQL injections as well. Now, SQL injection is something which is being performed on the databases of the system or which is present over there over the network or on the servers of the system, right? Some changes or any kind of modification which is being done in the database. So, that is being done by SQL injection attack. Now, we have further classification of attacks. The one is passive attack and then we have active attack. As the term stated, then we have close-in attack, insider and distributive. Now, passive attack is something which does not harm the logistic of the network. Only he or she passively snoops information and leaks it out to the outside world. Like whenever we overheard any kind of conversation, so same overheard of conversation is being happening over the internet. So, that is a kind of passive attack, right? So, the conversation has been leaked and some information has been leaked to the third person. So, in similar manner, when two persons are communicating over the network, if the third person eavesdrop in and it checks what exactly is being transmitted or what exactly they are talking about or what kind of communication is happening, they can fetch the information just by observing the connection or the conversation over the internet. So, in active attack, what is happening? The attacks disrupt the functionality of the network by injecting a lot of junk data into it. So, it usually destroys the data in transit. So, whatever the data is being transmitted, that is being destroyed in midway, and the attack is clearly easy to identify from the mangled data. From there only one can identify if it has been attacked, the attack has been done on the data or not. Then we have close-in attack. As the name suggests, close-in attacker remain in close proximity of the target system and it will gain the physical access to it. Then try to stay close to the target system, and whenever they get any chance, they will gain physical access to it. So, insider attack is done by legitimate user of the system. They try to obtain some unauthorized privileges just by overriding their assigned access rights. So, whatever the rights they are being assigned to the legitimate user of a system, so by overriding the rights and trying to gain some unauthorized or privileges, this is the kind of insider attack which is there. distributed attack. So what is happening? Distributed attack, the attacker creates some loopholes or some access point in the system that is obtained from the legal user. So whenever the legal user steps over such loophole, a piece of information silently goes to the attacker. Piece of information silently goes to the attack. They open some kind of window in the system, right? Like in our house, we have many windows in it. We have doors in it. So I would say if an attacker opens just one window of your room in your house, from that part, the information would be leaked silently and it will go to the hacker. So this is how it is happening. This is how it traps the other user and the legitimate user. So it's all about various security attacks. Now we have in this lecture, we have covered the overview of information security. We have discussed about the security triad, which is CIA, confidentiality, integrity and availability, and we have also done the classification of security threats. Now don't be fooled, because cyber attacks could happen to anyone, especially if they don't know what to look for, because they can be malware, and malware is something which is made of two words, that is malicious software. So they could be malicious software that is used to harm devices. There could be phishing attack or some fraudulent mails you would be getting. So these days emails are being received or messages that appear to come from a legitimate source. So this is a kind of phishing attack. Then we have man-in-the-middle attack. So what attacks can be done by intercepting traffic between two unsuspecting parties. Now see, if you would be taking this information security program at Chandigarh University, it will further help you to explore the domain of network and security. Now this includes cryptography, which basically includes the encryption, decryption algorithms and various parts of it. Then security management and security intelligence, that will allow you to pick in the journey into the field of information security and develop your skill set. Then we have learning security principles regarding information, confidentiality, integrity, availability. So these are various key aspects of information security, information risk and security management. Knowledge of vulnerability and security testing would be there. So we have dedicated labs equipped with IBM specialized software in cloud-based applications. We have access to IBM portal for e-learning, so you guys will be getting these privileges. Here we have our AIT highlights, we have technology center degree globally benchmarked content, access to world-class resources, industry experienced practitioners as trainers, flexible credit system, project and workshop based learning. So that's all for today. This is the end of session. Thank you.